Let me check here on this end to make sure we are good. Yabba dabba doo. Come over here. Let me try this and see how this works out for us. Come over here. You took the red pill, man. I'm sorry. Hey, what's up, guys? That's quite the neat video I played with. So I think reggae music would sound really cool with that. Imagine that, some Bob Marley going along with that. That'd be some good stuff. So if you guys got some music, send it on my way. What is up, everybody? My name is Omar. I'm a host here at Watchers Talk, coming at you guys this afternoon from West Coast, British Columbia, Canada, with my guest, John Mayberry, Big John from Humanity Unplugged. What is up, you guys? Hopefully, everyone's doing good. Please give the stream a share and a like, and let's confuse the algorithm a little bit and insert a little consciousness into this censoring platform that we are interacting with. So that was a wonderful discussion we had day before yesterday with Leonard O'Neill. Thank you very much, Leo, for your time. It was a wonderful conversation. And yesterday we had a premiere of John's presentation from Humanity Unplugged. And today we're here to talk about that. What is up, Mountain Devil, my beautiful friend? It is nice to see you. Welcome. And then we got Full Spectrum Universe in the house. Rob Yox, welcome, my brother. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Please share the stream out. And like I said, let's confuse the algorithm and let's police the thought police and make sure that they're behaving and that they're not patrolling our thoughts. So today's show is going to be a gooder as usual, and Humanity Unplugged gave us a PhD, right? It's kind of like going to university and getting all that information all at once, and then now you got an exam coming up, and you have to study it, and you got to dig through it, and you got to find all the clues and the resources and everything that lays within. So you gotta find that, and that's kind of like what we're doing here by examining Humanity Unplugged and trying to understand what we learned there and the resources that we can take away to insert into our own lives that will help fundamentally change it or help us to move forward in becoming, ourselves. In the video, I said, welcome to 5D, right? And 5D it is. We are in 5D right now. And not everybody is in 5D, as you can imagine. So I'll tell you what 5D is in my mind. 5D is this three-dimensional world that we live in. And then you insert the time dimension into that. Then this becomes the fourth dimensional world. But if you observe consciousness as a dimension, which is an expression of the zero state, then you take that consciousness and you insert it into the astronaut suit that we all wear, then that becomes the fifth dimension. Now, if that fifth dimension is aware, like if you're aware of yourself and if you're aware of the consciousness with which you interact with, then, my friend, welcome to 5D, because 5D is where we are equipped with this type of knowledge and we understand. So that means that if you're self-aware of yourself and you're not a zombie and you're working on making yourself better, then you're in 5D and everybody else is not. That's kind of why they're like vanishing right now. And that's all part of the great program, the Great Reset, right? They've been wanting the Great Reset, and I think we got the Great Reset. But it always comes with a little sadness. But later on, everything is happy, 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 joy, joy. So, John, welcome, my friend, to 5D. I'm sure you're vibrating at probably higher than 5D. Thank you very much for giving me your time here on this beautiful, what is it today? Wednesday? Is it a Wednesday afternoon or are we in a Tuesday afternoon, John?
Yeah, we're Wednesday here in Arizona. How about you guys up there?
I think we're almost to Wednesday. I know I'm not there yet. I think I'm still rolling around on Tuesday, hoping to buy myself a little extra time.
Yeah, I hear that. First off, I want to say thank you for putting on the event. There's been some amazing speakers, amazing information out there. And like you say, there's going to take months to really disseminate that and absorb it into our consciousness. A lot of what has been presented, I'm familiar with, and I've been on this road since the day the computer was in the bulletin board stage. It's been quite a long journey for me, and it's amazing to be here right now. And I want to thank you for having me on and being with such of the great minds that you've had on thus far.
Thank you, my friend. That was an epic event. As you know, 12 hours a day, 11 straight days, 122 plus speakers we had. Yeah. I'm sure we smashed the world record by really good, but it's not about that. That's like really ego speaking.
Right.
No, but it was an incredible event where we learned a lot of things. We observed things from many, many different spectrums. And what I found within all of it, it's actually pretty amazing that all these 120 some people all had the same message of consciousness. It was all about consciousness, regardless whether you looked at it from the Einstein's theory or whether you looked at it from the grandmother circles or from the NDE perspective. It was all about consciousness. And it seems that consciousness is more on the forefront of our minds than ever before. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's definitely 100%. What's nice about it too is everybody is on a journey, and we're all on a different road at times. And the amount of guests and information that you had was able to supply everybody, I think, with something that they're interested in that particular area. I'm extremely eclectic, so I am very broad in my research. And so everything that was there touched upon stuff I had been studying for years and years and years. And like I say, some of it was new, some of it wasn't, but all of it was the message that I'm getting, self-awareness that is coming to me is out there right now in the world. I think a lot of people are waking up.
Yeah, for sure. Let's hear about your self-awareness. I know you've been like self-aware for a long time now, right? Because of your NDE experiences really woke you up. And from that point on, you've really been exploring your internal and really connecting with your higher form of consciousness to be aware that such a thing even exists, right? So I'd like to hear a little bit more about that, if you don't mind.
Sure. The path that I started on was, basically the path of waking up to the fact that there's just more there. And that got me into the religious life. That was, I think, a good start for a lot of people. Unfortunately, it's a very, could be a challenging area because, a lot of people, just as in the past, don't want to do their own research. Definitely wasn't me, although at the time that I came into it, I needed something to grab onto, and that was something that was able to pull me out of an area in my life that just wasn't working for me. So that, I guess, I'd have to say that was when I started becoming really more self-aware of me in this world, in this ocean that we're in right now as a separate entity, and trying to eke out that where do I fit in here in this whole thing. And that's been pretty much the journey I've been on for the last 40 years. Where do I fit in? What do I have to offer? It's we have to be selfish sometimes in life, and take care of ourselves. That's part of, us being here. But then you get to that point where it's like, okay, well, I've taken care of myself. I've got food on the table. Now, what can I do for somebody else? How can I help, that next guy, maybe make that step?
Yeah, I like that. That to me expresses the unestablished form of a human, where you're content, your backyard's clean, you're happy with life, and now how do I grow from that, right? How do I expand, and how do I become a better human being, right? So that's kind of what I take away from that. But before we get into the awareness aspect, let's actually talk about that a little bit, John, because when we say to become aware of yourself, then people that have taken the blue pill, they'd be confused about that, right? They'd be like, well, I am aware of myself, I am here, I got bills to pay, I got a family to raise, blah blah blah, right? Which is all acceptable, that is it. But when we speak about being aware of yourself, like I like to understand, I like to hear what your answer would be to someone that would say something like that to you, when you say, you have to be aware of yourself.
That's kind of a complicated question. For me, I think it was being aware of other. As a child, we grow up. We're very, not all of us, but we grow up. We're very selfish. We're self-centered. It's all about me, me, me. Mama takes care of me. Mama milks and feeds me. And then, we get out into the world and we're like, oh, I'm going to carve my section out of the world. And it's me, me, me. And, I like to use different words. There's a lot of words that people throw out there. And for me, I'm trying to change some of those words. Waking up, for me, I don't think fits so much anymore as growing up. Yes, we are all awake. Some are, still kind of starry-eyed, and sleep filling their eyes, and they're trying to get the sleep out of their eyes. But I think for me, the thing I would have to say is it's growing up and realizing that, hey, there are other people here. Other people have needs, wants, and desires. Not everybody's going to get what they want, and we're all in this. We're on, ship Earth together. That's, I think, what I would say waking up is wow, we're all in this together. There's no you or me. I mean, it's us.
Yeah, there is no you and me. There's definitely, because we're all a projection of the same thing, right? We're just in a different expression of it. So there is no difference between this and that. When I'm confronted with that question, usually what I say is that the awareness that I'm talking about is the awareness of knowing that you're simply connected to this body avatar, and that there's much, much more to you. And to be aware of that is, to me, being self-aware, not in a religious dogma sense, to where there's a God and there's a heaven, hell, you're going to be judged, blah blah blah. Not from that perspective. To me, that's like program thinking. For me, awareness is that when you're aware of your consciousness, the level of consciousness that you're interacting with, and understanding that connection can grow more, that it can increase. You can experience more consciousness, as you would, like, say, a roller coaster ride. You can experience more of it. And once you become aware of that and understand that, because you have that consciousness within this astronaut suit that we have on, that it can create things, that it can manifest things, that it's an extremely powerful instrument of consciousness, that can do whatever. It has no limits. So for me, that's usually what the answer is that to become aware of that. Now, once you become aware of it, then it seems that consciousness begins to, display itself, and it begins to dance around, and it plays with you, and, it shows you, your spirit understands, but this here, right, always has a hard time catching on with what's really being shown to you.
Yeah, being in the material realm that we're in, this 3D realm that people talk about, making sense of that consciousness that is inside yet outside of us. I think that is the waking up, the becoming aware of the greater existence that we have. That this 3D realm is just a small portion of what we can see, what we can feel, what we can touch. It's just a very small portion of the entirety that we're immersed in here. So yeah, I'd agree. That's, I'm still trying to grasp onto, what is being self-aware? What really does that mean to me, being self-aware? Well, I think we're all self-aware. I mean, if I prick myself, it hurts. I'm pretty aware that I've done something to myself. But when you're affected by something that's outside of something you can feel, you can touch, you can see, you can hear, when you are affected by something that's outside that realm, it's how do you deal with that? The materialistic man would say, well, it's just all in your head. Well, of course it's all in your head. Where else would it be? But it comes from somewhere else into your head. I want to know where it's coming from. So I'm a receiver. I realize that I'm a receiver. I'm a radio. I'm a receiver and I'm a transmitter. I receive that signal from outside and I'm transferring that out into the world. And if I'm transferring negativity and other stuff out into the world, that's just going to come back, and that's what I'm going to see coming back at me.
Yeah, exactly. And not only are you transmitting that signal into the world, but you're also transmitting that signal back into the ether, right?
Yes.
So whether it be positive or negative, then the law of attraction begins to work at that time. And then if you put out negative, then you're going to get negative. Put out positive, you'll get positive, right? That's just, our ancestors have been telling us that for forever now, right? But we've been asleep for a long time, and we're finally starting to catch up and understand on what they've been trying to tell us, that if you create good karma, then good things will happen, and bad karma is bad things, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the direction I've chosen, I guess, because I got into religion and then was seeking to find the truth behind that, and being disturbed by what mankind has put into the religions has got me to that point where I want to bring back, I want to unify the religions back into the purity that there is there. I throw out, people would talk about this and talk about that, and I throw out Akhenaten, way back, well, not way back, but, Akhenaten was trying to do that. And what happened? The priest class said, we have a good business going on here. I don't know if we're really into that, where you're going with this. Don't know, for sure where he was going, but he was definitely on a slightly different path than Egyptian, religion was going at that moment that he gained power. And look what they did to him. They've been doing that ever since.
Okay, let's explore that, because when you were saying that, I got rushed with a thought, right, which seemed like a million thoughts, but it conglomerated into a single thought. So when I look at religion, nothing positive or negative on it. I just simply have no opinion on it, right? But from what I'm observing from, what I see is that, people use religion as a crutch while it's self-serving, right? Like for instance, when people go to prison, they suddenly find God. Like they found Jesus hiding under the bunk somewhere.
Right.
Then, if a person's an alcoholic and they're quitting alcohol, then they turn to religion. Or when drugs, turn to religion. Or, going through a bad divorce, turn to religion. Things like that, those types of examples. And 95% of the time, those people don't hang on to that particular faith, right? Which
Mhm.
was they entered into with after a while. When things begin to go good for them, they think that, okay, well, I don't need this anymore, and then they continue on to, you know, carry on with their activities, so to say, right? So, do you think that religion is used as a crutch by many people and are really not sincere about the teachings that it really has to offer, and they think that they can manipulate or trick God into, making their life easier, so to say?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I can't speak for anybody else, but religion was a crutch for me.
Hmm.
I have no doubt of that. But as I went down different stages in my life, I went down the atheist stage there for a while. Things got better, and I pulled myself up by the bootstraps, and made a life for myself. And it's like, well, and then, well, for me, it was questioning. It wasn't so much that wow, I'm doing good and I don't need God anymore. It's like I started questioning, why do I believe this? What's the reasoning for believing this? And as I went down my atheist stage, I went down a stage where I was wanting to destroy people's religious beliefs. It's like, why do you believe that crap for? That's ridiculous. This is just a mythology. This is a story. But then the spirit spoke to me and said, you know what? When I had a broken leg and I needed religion as a crutch, how horrible would it have been for somebody to kick that crutch out from underneath me? So I
Hmm.
think religion has a place. Religion is good. Religion is a starting point
Hmm.
to become self-aware and to become aware that there's more. I think AA teaches, which I think what got me into religion was going to AA after I tried to commit suicide. One of the things they teach is there is something greater than you, and that puts you in an area where you start realizing that, wow, I'm not the top of the food chain. I'm not all that I think I am. I'm weak. Obviously, I'm an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever the situation might be, a sex addict. It doesn't really matter. But wow, I have weaknesses here, and that weakness is a power greater than me. That's so. I think religion is a starting point. It was for me. It was a starting point to put me on a path of realization, waking up, growing up, realizing that, wow, as good as I think I am, as big as I think I am, as strong as I think I am, there's somebody bigger and stronger and better out there, than me. All I can do is be me, the best me that I can be. So I think religion actually is a good thing. There's so
Hmm.
much wisdom in all the religions. I'm saddened to see people that have become so dogmatic that they can't allow, let's just say, a Muslim can't allow a Christian to exist, a Christian can't allow a Buddhist to exist. That's what really irks me right now.
Hmm. That's more, you know, more political based and more, fanatical based, because when you're actually down boots on the ground, say in Israel, for instance, where you have all three religions coming together, people still live and together. They respect one another and go to each other's houses and do their things. But it's only when we get into like that, very small 1% that the media likes to highlight as 99%, that they're all like that. It's not true. It's not very true at all. Muslims and Jews and Christians, they have the same faith and they come from the same lineage, so to say. So it's a very small group of people that have gave it that darkness, I should say, because in reality, all three have some great teachings in it. They're trying to show you service to the whole, right? That's how I see religions.
Mhm.
They're showing you to service others, right? To
Right.
give charity and to feed the homeless and look out for the elderly and things like that, right? And to me, that's a beautiful message. But like you were saying, it's the priests, right? The priesthood
Yeah.
that added this dogmatic
Yeah.
control structure to it, right? Where they've taken out a lot of the information and created this narrative that really follows their narrative to keep people in that lower emotional vibration. Because when we talk about guys like Mike, Michael Feely, for instance, and he talks about the Bible from just a totally different perspective, and he's telling us that hey, it's just about consciousness. You know, it's not an actual ladder. You know, he's talking about your spine, and he's talking about how the energy moves through there, and you know that's really. And if they hadn't changed it like that, that's a really actually a good place to go here now. Is that if the priesthood had never gotten involved and corrupted the message as they have, what do you think would have happened by now? Right? Like, what state of mind and consciousness do you think people would be vibrating at if it remained true, like the original message was supposed to be?
Yeah, I've actually thought about that quite a bit in the last couple of years, getting into a lot of the Rudolf Steiner philosophy. I'm coming to realize that evolution, physical and spiritual evolution, there is a director to that. It's not just by accident or happenstance that we go down certain paths. The Dark Ages was not an accident. It was something that was needed in our evolution that we're on, whatever path that we're on, wherever we're supposed to be in the next 1,000, 10,000, 50,000 years, whatever, you know, however long that is. That evolution is directed. You know, you can't deny things. You know, Rudolf Steiner teaches that and if you think about it, think about the Greeks where everything was a god. You know, the god of thunder, god of lightning. They saw the spirit in everything.
Mm-hmm.
When Jesus, this man Jesus, whatever that is, listen, we don't need to define that. Whatever happened 2,000 years ago, Rudolf Steiner teaches that there was a time that we had to go there. We were becoming more materialistic. The Romans had taken over. You know, the spirit was darkening. We were not seeing the spirit in all things any longer, and we had to go down that point in our evolutionary track that we're on. The Dark Ages needed to come along where we as a species, like myself, we had to kill God off for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. Whatever the greater spirit out there that's maybe directing the show here obviously knows the direction he's guiding us to go down. But that's kind of what I think anymore is now trying to deal with that and understand that more. The esoteric it's not so much that the esoteric in religion has lost. It has been lost because, my Christian friends I'll throw a scripture or something out there and they'll say, well, you take it out of context. I'm like, well, okay, it's here in English. So have you taken it back 2,000 years ago? Do you read Hebrew? Do you read Greek? Do you read these old languages? Do you understand what the sentence meant to them? Is it a direct translation for us? Absolutely not. So it's by accident and by purpose that I think the esoteric of the religions have been watered down. That's kind of where I'm at now. And I want to bring that back. That's like with Michael Freely and a lot of the other stuff that I've gotten into. The esoteric is where I'm finding the truths that I held on to before as mythologies.
Oh, sorry, I was kind of busy over here for 1 second. I was looking for a scripture that I recently read on Paul Wallace's book, and I want to run this by you.
Sure.
It's an incredible piece of work, anyways. But I'm sure that you'll know this scripture that I'm talking about, and got it right here. Blank pages coming up. It's a brilliant way to look at it. He says, okay, so it goes, the kingdom of heaven is within you.
Yeah.
We know that one, right? So Paul, broke it down and he goes, or as I would render it, the whole realm of the cosmos exists within you.
Mm-hmm.
right? The language, I like that language of that particular verse that the entire kingdom is within you. That's kind of like telling us, that the cosmos, the entirety, the creation of all is, embedded within our DNA, but embedded in our memory, and that, we're part of that. And if we pay enough attention to that, then we can manifest that, we can bring that out, right? So same thing, it would go with other scriptures in the Bible as well. That if we looked at the different meaning of what they actually mean, is something totally different. And I
Mhm.
think that maybe somebody should write a book that actually breaks the Bible down like that and explains it as to what it actually is. Because when you know, I don't know, John. I'm kind of divided on religion, right? Like for me, I'm broken between the priesthood aspect of religion and the actual formation of religion, right? This
Mhm.
monolithic God, or multiple gods, as you were saying with the Greeks. They saw spirit and everything. We can go to India, same thing as in India, where they have millions of gods, and in all those millions of things, they're obviously seeing spirit in that, right? And then that's something that we've lost connection to, obviously, and that's deliberate too, because of the priesthood. It's really destroyed, uh, the thinking mind of man over the last, you know, just couple thousand years. It's not too late.
Yeah.
It's the point. It's only been a couple thousand years, like this narrative has been in, so we can smash it if we want to, right? But we just kind of seem to be stuck in this rut where we understand, right? But on the other hand, we continue to acquiesce to the system that suppresses our consciousness, that tells us that, no, you have to respond with lower emotion, because responding with the heart is no good, right? And then we've seen that over the last couple of years
Yeah.
with the old fucking woo woo woo, right?
Right. I think I like Paul Wallace's work. I'm very fascinated with the Genesis 6 story and the whole alien stuff, and I'm still not fully. I've dug into it extremely quite in depth. I don't really know where I stand in all this yet, but what I can say is the kingdom of heaven is within you. That's the same saying as above, so below, as below, so above.
That's
The
what
the 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 knowledge, the wisdom has been uh, put out with different words, is all.
mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, yeah, I've talked to some of my Christian friends. I said, wouldn't it be nice, in the Bible that talks about, Jesus says, that I speak in parables because for those who are from without, those who are asleep, they're not going to get it. But you who are awake, you're going to get it. And wouldn't it be nice to sit down with this fellow Jesus, whoever this Jesus was, one of the 12, and have him explain to you, because they still didn't even get it. The 12 disciples, that spent, a few years with this man, they still didn't get a lot of it. And like, what do you mean, Jesus, when you say blah, 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 and you say this and you say that? Well, he was teaching, he was initiating these 12 disciples. When you start learning about the ancient philosophies and the ancient technologies and what the pyramid really might have been, and you start going back to the horrible A word, Atlantis, Lemuria. You start going back to those ancient societies, and you start learning that this is not an old, or this is not a new game we're playing. The material, there was a dualistic battle back then at 13,000, 14,000, 12,000 years ago that is represented by the Tower of Babel. Something occurred approximately, 11, 12,000 years ago that caused a great earth catastrophe. We're at the precipice again. We're seeing it. If you're looking at the Apophis asteroid, or you're looking at, consciousness, you're looking at the world, the wobble of the world, that you talk about, we're trying to right ourselves now. Why was there 360 degrees in a circle? Did we actually have 360 days in a year? Now we have 365 and more. I don't know. But I do know that it's ancient, and the more I study, the more I learn, the more I realize how ignorant I am. But the more I realize that it goes back way farther than 2,000 years ago. You know, we talked before about Christ consciousness or universal consciousness, again, whatever name you want to give it, doesn't really matter. But that's ancient. That goes back to Krishna, it goes back to Buddha, it goes back to Atlantis. You know, I mean, it goes back that far. And you know, some of the people that you've had on, I say I'm really into a lot of that stuff, and very eclectic, and trying to find meaning of it, you know, and put it in religion. For me, my desire, you know, well, could I write a book? I don't know if I'm capable of that. I don't know if I have the ability of doing that, but that's what I'm trying to do with my website, Holy Science Astrotheology, and other people that I know that are involved in that. We're trying to use language today to show people that the meaning and the story is ancient. We just need to learn how to speak it and teach it in a meaningful manner for our language and our understanding and our materialism that we're living in today's time, because people don't see the spirit anymore. You know, I think you do. You and I have talked about it. You go sit at a tree and breathe, and you can feel the tree breathing with you.
Mm-hmm.
Rudolf Steiner teaches what they call spiritual science. And although I'm very spiritual, coming in contact with the spirit realm again, it takes effort to go look at a tree or an ant or something and realize that there is a conscious entity. Is it self-aware? Yeah, I don't know. I can't talk to it. But, you know.
Sure you can.
Well, yeah, you can. All right, I'm learning how to talk to him.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm starting to see that there is consciousness, there is whatever you want to call God in everything out there. And you know, we've lost to that. We've become so materialistic that there is nothing but what we can, you know, feel, and that's all it is. It's just a dead piece of wood. There's nothing there but a dead piece of wood, and that's just not what it is.
It has consciousness. It's
Right.
a form of consciousness. If it's observable and if it can be observed, then it has consciousness. Like my jar of juice, for instance, right here. This jar may look inanimate. This juice in here may look inanimate, but the fact is that it has consciousness. It's aware, and we just because our level of understanding of awareness is limited, right, is why I think we look at objects and say that, you know, it doesn't have any consciousness. But if our level of understanding and awareness was increased, then we would see objects like that as being aware and conscious. And that's kind of what I meant earlier on when I was saying, you know, like, how would you define awareness to someone? And that's kind of like that form of awareness. But the thing, you know, that John, I don't catch is that when Jesus is saying that he talks in parables and that it's only for those who understand, you know, you would think the goal would be to make everyone understand and not leave people out and to exclude them and to talk in such a language and such a riddled way that it makes it difficult for someone to understand, because everyone's level of intellect is different. Mine is different than yours. Yours is different than Mountain Devil and Stone Hobbit and Full Spectrum and Greg and on and on. We all have a different level of intellect and how we interpret information coming in. For some it's easy and for some it's difficult. You know, so I kind of find it disheartening when someone is saying that, you know, I speak like this deliberately so to keep this information away from people, right? And you know, and I don't really resonate with that, right? For me, you think a person of that level would be trying to actually get that audience, right? And then look at the other audiences. Okay, well, you guys get it. I'm preaching to the choir. You know, I want to go over here and get the ones that don't understand and explain to them. So why did that not happen, John? Like, I'd like to understand that from your perspective.
You know, that's something that I'm still struggling with. Again, studying the ancient history and stuff, you get into the mystery schools. You know, this goes back way back to the mystery schools. And if you think about it, if you think about whatever happened in Atlantis, if you go back that far, and again, we don't really know, we don't have much information on that anymore. A lot of it's been lost to time. But there was a battle going on of you could say the spiritual beings and the materialistic beings. And the materialistic beings got a hold of this technology, whatever this technology is, and used it to enhance themselves rather than enhance the group as a whole. They're out there enhancing themselves. So when the destruction of Atlantis, whatever that just Tower of Babel moment was that we had in our past, that information had to go underground because there were entities that survived that were more than willing to go out there into the world and use that information to service themselves in harming other people in doing so. Mm-hmm. So I think that, we're at a time now with the internet and the information age. And you think about we're in the second information age. The press, Gutenberg's press was the first information age, and that was the age of enlightenment. Mm-hmm. We're in the second age of that now, where information is available to everybody. And I have some friends that are Masons, and I'm not a Mason. I haven't become a Mason, but they're saying, well, there's no secrets anymore. There really isn't. Whatever they do in secret in their closed rooms, I don't really care what they're doing in there, but the vital information is out there if you want to go get it. Problem is people don't want to go get it. That's the problem I have found, in the church. I ask myself, well, gosh, are people not reading the same Bible I'm reading? What's going on here? People would rather be fed than to go out and feed themselves. Mm-hmm. I guess that's all I can say. Why was it hidden back then? I think it was hidden for a reason, but it wasn't really hidden. You think about it, any religious scholar will tell you there is virtually no writings that are contemporary to whenever this Jesus character allegedly walked the planet. There are no writings. So what writings do we have? We have writings of man that were either remembrance writings or manipulated writings. What do we want to give to the public? Most people were illiterate, so those writings were absolutely useless and worthless to most people anyway. Mm-hmm. Back then, because 90% of the people or more were illiterate. They couldn't read. They had to get their information from the class, from the teachers, from the people out there that were disseminating this information to them. And those people decided, well, gosh, if I put out this information to this person, that person kind of, is pretty selfish, and he might use that against his neighbor down the street, this little bit of information. So, why is there secrets? I don't know. It bothers me a lot. That's probably the biggest reason I won't become a Mason, because I'm not into that. Nobody's going to tell me what I can tell somebody else.
Sorry, my phone.
Nothing against Masons. Believe me, there's a tremendous amount. I've learned so much and have very, I have Masonic friends, but, that's probably the biggest reason I won't become a Mason, just for that one reason. Mm-hmm. They swear to secrecy, and it's like, what? If I find some information and I deem it valuable to my fellow human being, and he's not a Mason, I'm sorry, he's going to get it.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Tell me I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If I come across information, I want to share that information and not hoard it or hang on to it. But again, that comes down to just a small percentage of people within that group. Right, I know Masons that are incredibly good people and that share a lot of information. Yeah. And then there's that other group, that pyramidal, structure that they've got set up. But that's like with any organization, really. You got the good ones, right, and you got the very little bad ones, and the bad ones reflect on the good ones, and then everybody thinks that the good ones are bad too. And the next thing you know, you got division and separation, and it's garbage, and I have no place for it. And, I wouldn't join an organization like that either. If somebody, say if there was an organization for podcasts like this and they said, oh, well, you can't talk about this kind of stuff and that kind of stuff, I wouldn't join it. I'd be like, no, screw you. My business is to share information and talk about things. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, let me ask you, John, do you think we got the New Testament and the Old Testament, right? And when we look at the Old Testament, it sounds like that we're not dealing with God, right? That we're dealing, in fact, with extraterrestrial entities that are interacting with our ancestors, like Elohim and Yahweh and such.
Mhm.
There was a comment up here, I think, by Greg or someone, um, that said something about sacrifice. Yeah, right here it goes. Did Yahweh of the Bible require animal and human sacrifice? And did he enjoy the smell of burning flesh? Right now, when I hear that, then it makes me want to kind of reflect on the Bible, where people are saying that we're starving, and and their God gives them snakes, and it brings them wrath and kind of what have you. And in my mind, God wouldn't do that, right? The loving God would give you food and give you shelter and food and protection and kind of what have you.
Right.
So, what we're dealing with when it comes to the Old Testament is something that is definitely not terrestrial, and it seems to be engaged in like an ego war with other beings from city state to city state, to go and kill all of them, their children, to just flow the streets full of blood. That doesn't sound like God to me. But then
Right.
when we jump over to the New Testament, right, the New Testament kind of just X's all the information out from the Old Testament, and then adds in information from the Sumerians and the Babylonians and Zoroastrianism and Vedics and all of that from the past. So like, why such like a radical change, in philosophy is is what I'm trying to understand here. Like, go from killing your neighbor to loving your neighbor. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. That's one of the things that I had to, what got me to start asking myself, why do I believe this? What do I believe? Why do I believe it? And how can I, the Bible says that God is the same today, yesterday, and forever. Okay, well, wait a minute. There's an Old Thestament God and a New Testament God. Those are different gods in my
Mhm.
eyes. Oh, well, Jesus came and, we're in a different dispensation. Well, okay, fine, whatever. You can rationalize it all you want. What I've learned in my studies, esoteric studies, is the meaning of a lot of that. First of all, is lost.
Mhm.
That's what you just said was one thing that really bothered me. How is it that a God tells his chosen people to go down into a land and utterly destroy these other peoples, the animals, the children, the people? Oh, but wait a minute, you can keep the young virgins for yourself.
Mhm.
Well, wait a second, something doesn't jive here. Well, once I learned what that was really saying, now again, why didn't they say it in plain English? They didn't have plain English back then. But what that means is those represents the thoughts. The virgins are the pure thoughts.
Mhm.
Everything that's not of a pure thought, you utterly destroy, you kill, you get rid of it, you cut it off. That's
Mhm.
not talking about people. Yeah. Do we go out and kill one another because we read that literally? Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what saddens me, that we were
Mhm.
willing to do that. Um, Again, that's just some of the struggles I've had to get me here where I am now. It's like, how can I impress on people who are dogmatic in a particular belief system and show them that, gosh, maybe this isn't literal. Maybe there's some literal value there. Are there aliens that have come here? I don't know how you would want to describe an alien. Is it an angelic being? Is it a being from another planet? Or was it us in pre-Atlantean times that left the planet and now are coming back? Who are these aliens that we're battling against? That's where I'm still struggling with a lot of that information. I'm not willing to say right now what that alien or who that alien is. I suspect it's us. I
Mhm.
suspect it's human beings that left. Think about it. An astronaut, a year in space, can barely survive when he comes back to this planet. Imagine if you left this planet for 1,000 years and you come back down. How different would you look? How different would you appear? Your body, your eyes, your ears, everything would be totally different than it was that when your ancestors left 1,000 years prior.
Mhm.
So Yes, aliens, there's too much out there that tells us that there are entities out there other than ourselves. Who or what those entities are, I'm not in any position to say. But yeah, there certainly is a battle going on. It's not just a spiritual battle, there's a physical battle going on.
Mm-hmm.
And we have entities here that are being controlled and manipulated by aliens, whatever you want to call it, that are promising gifts and riches and whatever if they do certain things. And we've seen world wars occur over these stuff. And it's time to stop. It's time to
It's ridiculous.
wake up. We need to right the earth. We need to right the planet. We need to expose the secrets, whatever those secrets are. Everybody just needs access to all the crap that's out there, and let's start fresh.
Yeah, I like that. I like the starting from a fresh slate. Everybody gets back down to zero and work your karma from there. But first we have to destroy really the old way of thinking, the old system and the old structure. And we see that happening now, right? Right around the world. Recently here in Canada, I've been hearing a lot about the 4-day work week, right? So now they're going to do that, which for me, I like that because now it gives you more time for yourself, gives you more time with your family, allows you to delve into things a little bit more, less stress. So we see the system changing, which is very good. I appreciate it because it shows me that that there is a shift happening. We all want it instantly. Like right now, wake up tomorrow and there's a whole new system there for us. But
Right.
we know it doesn't work like that, right? We know that it takes quite a while, maybe if not a couple generations, for it to like fully kick into gear. And if we decide to incarnate in a couple of 100 years, then we can have that system. But it's not all about that because we've chosen to be here at this particular time. And even if it was like 10,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, even then we chose to be there at that time to experience that level of consciousness. Because I'm a thinker of experiencing consciousness at different levels, right? As you were saying earlier, I'm a transceiver and I'm a transmitter, and I feel the same way. And what I feel happens is that when we incarnate into a particular time on Earth, we're really incarnating within the distortion and the vibration of the planet for that particular period so that we can understand consciousness to that level, right? We're connecting locally to non-local consciousness that becomes local, and then we can experience it through that vibration. And I assume that way back in the day, if we want to look at it a little bit deeper on the energetic level, where we have our, earthly year, then we have our solar year, then we have our galactic year, and those energies would be different. Our 26,000 year cycle. To me, that's a solar cycle where it's just tumbling in one place, but then you got that galactic cycle that goes all the way around the central black sun, and that as we go flow through there through zodiac to zodiac, then there's going to be different energies during those times, and then we can incarnate in to experience that particular vibration, so to say, right? Like that experience, and then we're gone. And so for me, whatever that's happening here on this earth is, is going to happen. And I need to, be appreciative and give gratitude to the fact that I'm vibrating along with the earth with the same distortion that is just not gonna, kick me out, right? Oh, you're not vibrating, so you're out. So I'm glad I'm understanding and becoming aware of that level of something that's beyond me, right? That's something much, much, much bigger than I am, which is helping me to understand my own human experience. And not only through that, but I'm having this echo effect, this ripple effect through my watchers talk and within my family and my friends that I have. But mind you, I'm losing those friends awful fast because they're not really, cycling with me, right?
Right.
I've gone off the hinge, and I'm telling them that they're gone off the hinge, and so it's gonna settle itself out eventually. But no regrets from my end. We need to press forward and realizing what we are and the potential that we have within each of us. And not all of us need to have that, NDE to, become appreciative of what we have, right? Some people need
Right.
to go through that set of experiences like you did, and then there's people like myself who didn't have to go through that, and still come to that same point in time where we can converge and talk about our experiences and compare notes and say, "Oh, fuck, John, I'm sorry you had to go through such a
Yeah.
ride to where you're at," and you're thinking the same thing. "Oh shit, Omar, I'm sorry you had to go through this ride to where we are, but here we are, and now we can share our experiences and share." Our consciousness and sync our consciousness with one another for this brief moment, and enjoy an expression of each other and learn from one another, right? And I think that's what's really it's all about, is to sync with one another and appreciate one another, and
Hmm.
learn each other's story, because everyone has a different story, and we shouldn't really impress our story onto someone, right? Listen more than we talk, and
Right.
give that
Yeah.
opportunity to speak, and then give the opportunity to be heard. And I think that's what it's really all about. And this is something that we're coming back to now, right?
Hmm.
Or when people, they would just talk, 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 and there was not enough time to listen. But now people are beginning to listen, and they're hearing the message. And, for me, that's good. I don't know if that's divine intervention stepping in, or whether that's ET intervention stepping in, or, whether it's just consciousness that's just evolving. I don't really care, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Don't have to give it a name.
Yeah, I just care the fact that you're in love, I'm in love, and everybody's in love. And if we just remain in love, then we can have that all across the world. Whether we
Yeah.
have 10 bad people in it or not, if 90 of us are in love, then those 10 people don't stand a chance, right? Because eventually
Right.
they fall in love with us.
That's what I get. That's what I've gotten out of the my religious and my ancient studies is the whole idea of being born again. It's in the olden days, an initiate was literally killed to the point where he was almost at the verge of death for 3.5 days, 3 days. Well, Jesus was in the tomb for what, 3.5 days. Lazarus was in the tomb for what, 3.5 days. I had to kill myself to get there. Not, I would wish that nobody had to walk down my shoes to get there. But I think that's what it is sometimes we have to kill off the self. We have to kill off the ego for just a little bit and realize that, the ego is our friend. The
Hmm.
ego was given to us as a gift to help us survive in the 3D material world. Now the ego thinks it's boss.
Hmm.
My ego is going to fight your ego because my ego wants what your ego has. And that's, I think that's the whole place we're at right now with the whole Aquarius coming up. And this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the song. Where are we in that age? I don't know, but you can feel it, you can sense it.
Yeah.
You know that we're coming out of Pisces. And what people don't realize is a decon before and after we come into that age, you start feeling the energy of that age. So 1/3, however long Pisces is, we've been in Pisces, 1/3, the last 2/3 of Pisces, we're getting that Aquarian energy. You
Hmm.
can feel it. I can feel it. Some people can't, but that's what we're heading into. Definitely a new era in human history. I'm excited to be alive at this point in time, just to see where things are going to go. Yeah, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, but it's going to get better.
It's the water age, and it's the age of purification,
Right.
and to wash yourself of this last stage that we went through, the Kali Yuga,
Yeah.
whatever people want to call it. We got to wash ourselves clean of it so that our spirit is rejuvenated, and then we can move forth in this new, you know, stage, in this new time period that we're about to go through, because it's already happened before, and
Yeah.
we're just coming back to repeat it, and it's how we repeat it is what counts. And
Yeah.
it just seems that there's like a like an intelligent switch that kind of is there, because as you're floating through, right, and then you're changing those energies, and eventually just go through from not feeling it to totally feeling energy. Like I totally hear you when you say, I feel the energy. Me too. I feel it so much, John, that I sweat crystals. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Really weird. Like I can look at my hand like this in the sun, right? I'll go like this and I'll look in the sun. Showed my wife many, many times all over my body, and it's sparkling, right? It's like like little micro crystals that are coming out of my body. So, and I think that's one of the energetic side effects of that, where you're crystallining, right? Where you're turning into that rainbow body that the Gnostics spoke of. And maybe
Sure.
that's something that they went through and something that they were aware of, and they were inspired to come back to that. And then, and hence they, began their philosophy and teaching to come back to that particular state of being. But who knows?
What about that chunk of coal that you are is turning into a diamond?
Yeah.
A lot of pressure, a lot of time and pressure, and that's just the whole idea of lead into gold. I like coal into diamonds. And there's a lot of different sayings. Why has it been hidden and lost? Yeah, because people are ignorant, and people like to stay ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
Ignorance is a choice. It's
Yeah.
and as long as there's ignorant people out there, you're going to have other ignorant people that are going to want to control those other ignorant people, because they're just dumb enough that they're going to buy into the crap.
Yes. Like a cycle. Just when you were saying that, I just seeing it in my mind. It's just a cycle of shit just going by just in circles.
Right. Flush it down the toilet. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
Real briefly, I know we're out of time. It says in the Bible that the disciples are asking Jesus, when is the time? And he says, when you go into the town and you see the man carrying the jar of water at the well. Well, what's the man carrying the jar of water? It's Aquarius. I mean, he told us in plain language there, but we've lost that. It's a no to put astrology in the Bible. Oh my God, the whole Bible is full of this. It's all astrotheology.
Meanwhile, they do. Meanwhile, they do, because you have the sign of a fish, which is connected to Jesus,
right?
And to Pisces, right? So they like to, and again, it brings me back to Echoes of Eden. This new book that Paul released, and in that book, he's saying that there's two levels of information that's happening. One level is that the church is out, getting rid of any indigenous knowledge, and and it's heresy, and it's the devil's work of what these indigenous
thousands of years ago.
And then on the other hand, they're employing that information for themselves, where they're doing the remote viewing, and they're doing the telepathy and clairvoyance and kind of what have you, and then they're squashing it over here. So same thing, where they say one thing and then practice just the total opposite. So when they tell you there's no astrology in Christianity, it's all astrology, right?
Yeah.
The 12 disciples are the 12 zodiacs.
Yep.
It's it takes you have to lift ignorance, and that's really what it's all about. But you can't lift ignorance if you don't think that you're ignorant, right? So
Yep.
that's kind of what you were saying about this ignorance under control, and then and then I saw just a barrel of shit when you said that.
Paul Wallace has got some excellent work. I'm really into what he's got. I really appreciate his lifestyle. It's in some ways it's kind of similar to mine. He got into religion. He dived down that rabbit hole and didn't just take somebody else's information. He looked it up for himself. He found out for himself. And that's kind of the journey I've been on too. It's like, oh my gosh, this is not what it means, And there's so much more there. How are we going to get it out? People like Paul, hey, maybe 5-10 years from now, I'll be writing a book. Who knows? But we need to get that information out. That's my goal. That's my desire. That's why I'm on Facebook. That's why I do what I do. I'm not in it for the money. I've secured my life pretty well. I do it because I want to help my neighbor to try to wake up and grow up.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what it's really all about, brother. So, before we close it out for the afternoon, how about some words of wisdom for our audience?
Well, all I can see, I've come up with my own little saying, and I kind of like it, and I've been throwing it out there, and it's keep your brains in and your mind open. As soon as you close your mind, you've just closed off everything around you. You're no longer willing to learn. It's okay to be wrong. I've been wrong many times. I've changed my views. I've killed off the old thinking that I had before. It's okay to be wrong. Open your minds, but keep your brains in.
Good advice. I like it.
Right.
Really is. I like that one. I think I
Yeah.
might steal it, John.
Yeah, go ahead. You're more than welcome to. I've thrown it on the internet. I'm going to see if I can get a meme out of it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. Thank you very much for this great conversation this afternoon. I appreciate it, and I appreciate these conversations.
I do too. I'm becoming more comfortable speaking. I'm not. I'm a very introverted person, and it's been difficult for me to come out of that shell. And I'm coming out of that shell. It took 40 years for me to do it, but hey, you know what? I got a story to tell, and I'm just going to tell it.
Yeah, that's good, man, and you should. And people need to hear it to raise their awareness. Like you said, not everybody has to go through, what you went through in order for them to have that light go on.
Right.
So from your experience, which is, it's a valuable set of information being put into the pool of information from where people can drive resource and encouragement to say, okay, well, I can do it as well, regardless of the experience that they've gone through.
Yeah.
They too can do it themselves. So I appreciate you, coming out and sharing your information, your experience, and your knowledge, because it's needed at this time. It really is.
It is.
It really, really is, especially when you have people hoarding information, right? So it's
Yeah.
it's
Well, I'm never going to go down that path, and that's just it. If I find something and the spirit says, put it out there. Sometimes the spirit says, "Hey, this is for you. This is only for you right now," and I have to respect that. But most of the time, the spirit's like, "Hey, keep it simple, stupid, and get it out to the public."
I like it.
So,
all right, guys, this was fantastic, and thank you very much, John. I really appreciate it. And we've got Stone Hobbit. There she is in the house right now, and we got Stone Hobbit coming up day after tomorrow. And tomorrow we will be doing a premiere of one of Stone's presentations that she did at Humanity Unplugged. So keep an eye on this space for that. And as well, on May the 4th, we are working on a wonderful event, a day event, Echoes of Our Ancestors, Extrasensory Human, on May the 4th. This is brought to you by Paul Anthony Wallace with the new book, Echoes of Eden, which is available on Kindle. And for pre-order, you can go to paulanthonywallace.com, and we're going to be working with him on this amazing little event that we've got coming up. It's all about remote viewing, extrasensory human, clairvoyance, telepathy, telekinesis, you name it. We're going to be talking about that. But we have 6 speakers, so we're going to try to go for about 2-hour sessions where we're going to give our speakers an hour to fully speak, and then we'll spend about a half an hour, 45 minutes doing a question period, and then close the day off with a panel. And Paul Wallace will be on that panel, and we'll be talking about the extrasensories, the workshops that we'll be doing that day as well. We'll learn on how we can bring out this information, this memory that is within us. So keep an eye out on this space for that as well. And then on April the 14th, I have another mini day event coming, which is Seventh Dimension Golden Light. Actually, it's quite a long name we came up with it. It's Enlightened Pathways be touched by seventh dimensional golden light. That is going to be featuring five light speaking priestesses, and we're going to be doing a light seance for Australia and our friends Stephen and Evan Strong, because our buddy Evan is kind of under attack by the dark witches. So we're going to battle that. So that's happening on April the 14th. So you guys want to definitely tune in for that one. We're going to be doing light language and doing like all kinds of ceremonial stuff here on screen. So it's going to be incredible. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much for being here. Please give this video a like, give it a share. And at the conclusion of this video, if you can quickly hop down into the comments and leave a comment, that really helps with the algorithm. And subscribe to the channel. And if you are already subscribed, please check your notifications, because notifications are not being sent out. Like Rob Yox's show this morning, I never got a notification. Just it was a surprise to me. I should have known, but still it was a surprise. But anyways, love you guys. My name's Omar, coming at you guys from West Coast, British Columbia, Canada. Have yourselves a good one, and we will see you in a couple of days. Love you all. Lots of gratitude and appreciation for you. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Thank you for having me on.